So normally I'm the guy to tell you not to game with Bluetooth headphones. However, I was curious if it was a viable option to game at a competitive and enjoyable rate with the best case scenario with the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra and the Galaxy Buds Pro. However, I also tested this with the Sony Wh-1000xm4 just to see how it is with a control group. I used several mobile games and dabbled a little into some emulators, and honestly, I was shocked in good ways and bad ways. So let's get into this. So I used the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra for the best case scenario, like I said, and I was figuring with Bluetooth 5.2, with Samsung's scalable codec with the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro, it's beautiful 6.8 inch, 1440p, 120 Hz AMOLED, and its gaming performance with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. Basically in English, that means that it has the top of the line Android specs, and its gaming performance is incredible. I played a lot of games, and for example, Genshin Impact is a very difficult game to run, and this phone played it with no issues. It was about 40 FPS, I believe. Now in the headphone realm, in one corner, we have the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro. These are Samsung's flagship headphones. I felt if anything was going to do good in this test, it would be these paired with the Samsung phone with the scalable codec. Like I said, the sound quality is superb. They're among my favorite headphones that I own. They have a decently wide soundstage, and they have really nice high-end, very well represented low-end, but everything should feel separated because they have two drivers. They have a tweeter and a woofer. On top of it all, they have a dedicated gaming mode to help with low latency. However, your audio quality will be gimped a tiny bit by the game mode. Me personally, I genuinely did not notice a sound quality difference between game mode and non-game mode, but I did, however, notice a latency change. And honestly, you can probably replicate this with some earbuds that have aptX adaptive or some sort of gaming mode. Now, in the other corner, we have the Sony Wh-1000xm4s. So these are my control group. I figured I could use a high-end pair of Bluetooth headphones that don't have a low latency mode, don't have a gaming mode that maybe people would be using to game with. They do, however, have LDAC for a higher quality codec for listening, but the thing is I kept that off because it does add latency on top of already not having a low latency mode. I'm not going to give these a full in-depth review because I already reviewed them, and I also plan on doing a review of how I feel about a year later having them, so stay tuned for that. Now, the games that I used was Modern Combat 5, Genshin Impact, Apex Legends Mobile, fantastic game by the way, Call of Duty Mobile. You have to download the high quality audio, which is really silly. I didn't know that at first. I was wondering why it sounded the way it did. And then on the emulation side, I did a few Game Boy Advance games. I did Gradius, Iridion 2, and Castlevania's Circle of the Moon. So how did the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro perform in this test? Honestly, they sounded amazing with every game that I threw at them. I was shocked by some of the games with these earbuds. The soundstage felt wider than they did with music, oddly enough. Apex and Call of Duty really blended well with these. With the competitive nature of the games, I felt like I was at a, not a competitive advantage, but at a equal level of competitive. I could hear enemies from any direction, and I could actually tell about how far people were. I mean, if they were too far away, it started sounding like they were closer than they actually were. Even in low latency mode though, there was a slight bit of latency. It was minor to the point where I had forgotten after a few minutes of playing that there was latency. And like I said, I did not feel like I was at any competitive disadvantage. I felt like I was playing at the same level, if not more above people, because think about it, not everybody's playing with headphones. And my time with Genshin Impact was actually even better because it's a more slow-paced adventure game, so the latency was absolutely not noticeable. Now with emulated games, that's where the differences started to show. I don't know if the emulator that I'm using already has a bit of latency as is, but I did notice a fair bit of latency when I started playing games on the emulator. Now I only used John GBA emulator on my phone playing the 3 emulated games that I played. It was most noticeable with the game Gradius. I was not enjoying myself with Castlevania. In Iridion, I didn't really notice too much, but yeah, I wasn't enjoying myself too much with the emulator with these earbuds. However, let's move on to my experience with the Sony Wh-1000xm4s. But first, if you are enjoying this video, definitely slap a like on it. It helps out a ton. And if you like content like this, definitely subscribe. It helps out a ton. Trying to hit 700 subscribers before August. That would be awesome. If you're interested in any of the products we talk about in this video, I do have affiliate links down below. Now, the Sony Wh-1000 mouthful. These didn't fare as well as the Galaxy Buds Pro. I didn't really expect them to, but I did expect better. Games sounded great. I enjoyed the sound of the games. Same thing I said with the earbuds, kind of lend here. you know, distancing, soundstage, directional audio, all of that, great. But I experienced a large amount of latency. I would shoot my gun, the enemy would get hit, and then I would hear the sound. It might sound like I'm being over dramatic, but it really was that dramatic of a delay. I would say it was a few milliseconds between the time that I shot my gun and I would hear the sound. It was most noticeable in Call of Duty and Modern Combat 5. I would say Modern Combat 5 was the worst with this pair of headphones. Even though the directional audio was great, because of the latency, I was hearing people way too late. They would come around behind me or from the side of me, but by the time that they're actually already there, they're shooting at me before I heard the fact that they got there. Their footsteps were too late for me to be able to react. I was at a very competitive disadvantage with these headphones. And when I played emulation, forget it. It was pointless. It was just unenjoyable. Now, these are not bad headphones. They're just not really meant for Bluetooth gaming. But like I said, even with the buds, the emulation was kind of lackluster, and it could be an emulation thing, but just gaming in general is not that great with these. But is gaming over Bluetooth a viable option for mobile? It is, and let me explain. As long as you have a pair of buds or over-the-ear cans that got some sort of low latency mode or gaming mode, or a phone that supports low latency, it is definitely an option. But keep your expectations at check, because even at the low latency mode, there still is a little latency. It's just very minor. However, in my opinion, if you're super serious about competitive COD Mobile or really want zero latency retro gaming, buy a USB-C or Lightning port dongle with a 3.5mm jack and some wired headphones. It just makes more sense, and then you can use something like the Sony's and get amazing audio and zero latency. But yes, gaming over Bluetooth is finally a viable option if it's something you're interested in. But if you like wired gaming headphones, why don't you check out my review of the Logitech G Pro X headset right here. And thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you. Have a good one.